I'd like to recognize 4 employees who recently made it into the record books. The point is this. If you've been cutting corners on safety procedures, especially lockout tagout, then it's just a matter of time before you become one of these statistics. Don't be another one for the record book. Lockout for life.
Everyone's got their lockout, tagout checklist. All right. Maintenance on the roller machine.
Operators briefing the maintenance people before shutting the unit down for service. This is a good example of the way life should be around hazardous equipment. Number 1, they're following an established system or checklist for shutting down and de-energizing the equipment. Number 2, this is a meeting of experts.
The operators know their equipment inside and out, and the maintenance people know how to service that equipment. But they both need to communicate that information to each other.
By now, you've probably heard a lot about lockout and tagout of energy sources, but you have not heard the whole story.
You're going to see more than how to put a personal lock on an energy source or valve handle. You'll be taken beyond warning tags. In fact, you'll be seeing some things that might be a little disturbing.
Accidents. That casebook is full of them. Tragic accidents that did not have to happen. Now, some of these workers were lucky. They got off with only minor injuries, while others were not so fortunate. They lost arms, legs, even their sight. And still others, too many others, were killed. Now, these are your fellow workers trying to make a living and getting killed doing it.
Who then is to blame for all these needless deaths and injuries? Well, put the blame on somebody who got lazy and violated safety procedures. Maybe once, or twice, or many times. Blame it on somebody who got used to taking chances. Blame it on somebody who got fooled into thinking the unsafe act was really safe. Then, the big one happened. When it comes right down to it, you can blame those needless deaths and injuries on a lot of people.
I'd like to show you a series of true stories. Each one marks the end of a life or a close call. Watch them closely, because you're going to learn how each of these accidents could have been avoided, and you're going to learn how to keep them from happening to you and your fellow workers at your workplace. Let's look at case 1. For maintenance! This is a classic case of failure to follow established lockout tagout procedures. This maintenance man effectively committed suicide. Now, maybe he'd been following those practices for a long time and getting away with them. How many of you know someone who's doing the same thing, getting lazy about safety? Eventually it catches up with you. How could this accident have been avoided? Let's analyze the case step by step.
First of all, the operator knew the equipment was scheduled for maintenance because he put his lock on it. But there was no briefing before the work was done, and therefore no checklist was used by the operator or the maintenance man. When the maintenance man showed up, he saw the lock and tag and checked it out. He must have figured everything was okay because he totally ignored safety procedures by not putting his own lock on. When the operator returned, he found only his own lock attached, so he assumed nobody else was around. His assumption helped cause a death.
The operator was not the only one at fault here. The maintenance man violated his company's lockout procedure by not using his own lock. And you saw the result. There is no excuse for not following safety procedures. And the lesson to learn here is simple. Follow company safety procedures and double check by making sure all personnel are clear before re-energizing the equipment. Let's look at case 2. This fatal chain reaction should never have happened. First, the procedure for blocking an elevator should be established. Using a makeshift brace is asking for trouble. Second, hydraulic fluid was used, another form of stored energy, which should be controlled as well before the equipment is serviced.
First of all, when working on an elevator, properly block it with a safe, strong support. In the case you saw, the worker used a wooden beam. Then, the hydraulic system should be bled to neutralize pressure, and of course the power de-energized. So, in this case, the lockout or blockout was at least a two-step procedure. But someone took a shortcut. Maintenance shortcuts can shorten your life.
There are no shortcuts to safety. You get one chance to do it right. So follow safety procedures. Do it right. Now let's look at case 3.
Hey, I'm here to do the honors. What needs to be cleaned? Right over here. Right here. All dead, right? Oh yeah, it's okay. Power's up. That front?
This poor guy got the shock of his life. Fortunately, he survived. Still, we need to look at any accident, even a minor accident, as a potential fatality. You can sure bet this lucky guy is going to approach his next job with a slightly different attitude. Let's see what he did wrong here.
Just clean up and tighten some connections on an electrical panel. Simple job, right? After all, the panel was turned off, locked, and tagged out. Even his coworker told him the power was off. But wait. If you're the one who's going to do the work, don't trust your life to a tag or someone's word. Verify and double-check. It's your life. In this case, the worker wouldn't have been zapped if he took a few seconds to double-check that the main power feeding the panel was really off. And by following what this worker is doing, by simply using a test meter to check for hot wires in the panel. That's it.
How would you like to be the last guy that told him, "It's okay, the power's off"? Our last case involves an unfortunate chain of events that, once again, would not have occurred if lockout tagout procedures had been followed. Let's take a look. Fire. The thought of getting caught in one creates a panic in anybody. And seeing a fire take someone's life in this way is terrible. The question is, how could this accident have been avoided?
In an area such as a chemical plant or refinery, pipes carry potentially dangerous substances, hot liquids and gases, flammable materials, caustic substances, and superheated steam. When service to a pipe system is required, lockout tagout might affect a large area of a plant. In this last case, the worker only turned off power and shut off a valve. He did not lock it out because the valve device did not fit. He never took the time to get a proper fitting device. You saw what happened. Another worker taking readings saw no pressure on the gauge, so he re-energized the system. After all, he had no way of knowing that work was being done on the line. How could he? No locks or tags were used, and apparently no communication took place between departments. What should have been done? The most obvious, lock all valves out. Use a chain or a valve cap device, but use it. Don't just turn it off. Be sure to drain or purge lines of fluid. Make sure any pipes you're working on have secured, tightened blank flanges. Also, most hot pipes have insulation on them, so even if a dripping flammable liquid is nearby, it might not cause a problem. However, the steam pipe the worker was leaning on had no insulation, and his work mat covered only a small area. If there are hot, unshielded pipes around your repair area, make sure you use some sort of heat-resistant material that covers anywhere a leak might occur. Also, most companies' lockout policy includes issuing memos or having briefings about which equipment or pipes are going to be out of service. In other words, they communicate. Each affected department knows about the procedure. Don't ever rely on performing work quickly, or worse, the hope that someone might not turn on a valve or re-energize the system you're working on. The 4 cases you've just seen are true stories, but the saddest story of all is that none of these had to happen. Accidents can be prevented if we make safety a way of life in our workplace. Think on this. According to the latest statistics, every 10 minutes, 2 people will be killed, and 170 will suffer disabling injuries from accidents on the job.
We're back at our briefing between the operators and the maintenance people. Looks like they've finished their checklist. Here is what they've accomplished.
Number 1. The maintenance workers found out about the machine's danger zones and any particular problem areas. Number 2. They also followed a step-by-step checklist to shut down and de-energize the machinery's sources of energy. Number 3. They are ready to apply their locks and tags. A similar checklist will be followed when the equipment is tested and put back online. Nothing is left to chance.
And what about you? When it comes time to service equipment, and you're the one in the hot seat, take the time to ask the equipment operators or your supervisor to brief you. The more information you and your coworkers have, the safer you'll be. And that includes outside contractors as well.
By now, you understand that following your company's lockout tagout procedures can save your life. Know them, inside and out. And another thing, if you ever see anyone taking chances by cutting corners on safety, turn them in. Now, some of you may feel you'll upset your coworkers by doing this, but think about it. By telling your supervisor, you've just saved a life. And isn't it a whole lot better to have a friend mad at you for a little while than to have a friend who's dead and gone forever?
A safe lockout tagout is done carefully, step by step every time, with full knowledge and cooperation of everyone on your team. If the procedure is done by the book, then you'll stay out of this one forever. Lockout for life.